tanto jugando suelto como en competición. Tanto si se trata de un rápido 9 hoyos o de un gran 36. Tanto si juegas bajo presión o arrasando, siempre das lo mejor de ti. Nuevo Fuel de FootJoy.
Okay, we'll get started. We'd like to welcome the 2022 RBC Heritage Champion, Jordan Spieth. He wins on the PGA Tour for the 13th time, and he moves to number 11 in the FedEx Cup. Both of his last two wins came on Easter Sunday. Jordan, congratulations on a great show out there. If we can get some comments.
Thank you. Yeah, it was one, you have a lot of events where you feel like you should have won and someone outplays you or makes the putt or something, and a couple times you have one where you feel like you played good but not good enough to win, and I honestly felt like this was that week. I needed a lot of things to go right. I needed to birdie the 18th, then needed some help, got some help, dodged a bunch of bullets coming in, and then ended up in a one-on-one playoff where my lie in the bunker, although not great, was certainly better than Patrick's. So, yeah, it's a bit of a surprise. I definitely felt like I was putting myself in the position, hole to hole this week, to win a golf tournament, and I just was having a hard time early in the week adjusting to the speed differences from last week, and then the hole started to look small to me yesterday, and then just came out today and said I'm not going to leave one putt short, and if they miss, they miss, and just try to be a little bit more aggressive, and made just enough to cap it and win.
And you mentioned outside it was not the putter this week.
Yeah.
What was it about this week?
Yeah, it was just tee to green. Statistically, I made a couple putts from off the green that'll go on chipping stats, but so it wasn't quite maybe as bad as when I looked yesterday. I was a bit shocked at where I was at strokes gained, and that was pretty frustrating. I mean, I knew I wasn't putting well, but it was certainly better than that showed, and just thought, my goal was to get back to positive strokes gained for the week, which meant I had to make up a few today. And early in the round, I certainly did that. Missed a 3-putted on 11, but then made a couple more coming in. So, yeah, I was obviously very happy to be in this position. Every year I think about Kapalua at the beginning of the year once I'm there, and I missed it for a few years, and I never want to miss it again, and I'm really glad that this will get me there, and what a great tournament to win. It's an amazing golf course.
All right, awesome. We'll start with questions. We'll go to Pete.
Hey, Jordan. When you were waiting out things in the clubhouse, did you think that somebody, you knew the names behind you, did you think somebody would surpass your total? And how much did you spend thinking about yesterday on 18?
Yeah, I mentioned it to Michael and to Annie afterwards. I said I knew riding in to the clubhouse to sign my card, I said I knew that on 18 was going to cost me, and I hoped it did in a way, because if it didn't, it meant I just played a very average round today. So I hoped I worked my way into contention despite. I was about as upset after the round yesterday as I can ever remember being in a golf tournament. There's just no excuse for those kind of brain farts as a professional, to myself, but also to Michael, who's working his butt off to go out there and do that could potentially affect the outcome of a tournament. Is just, and I've done it a number of times on this stretch in the last 4 weeks of just. So Annie told me last night, she said, you have to take 5 seconds now, and she never comments on my golf, and she said, you need to take 5 seconds if you miss a putt and you're going to tap it in before you hit your tap in. And so I try to think about that today. There's a couple times where I was just going to rake it, and I was like, no, I got to take 5 seconds. And I'm just glad it didn't end up affecting it at all, to be honest. Just made it a little more exciting at the end.
All right, let's go Ron and then Shane.
Sorry, just to follow up to answer your other question. I was inside, and I can't stand watching golf when you're trying to dodge made putts, because these guys are so good. Every single putt looks like it's going in, and it was just way more nerve-wracking than actually playing. And I thought if I dodged Patrick's on 17, I thought he would birdie 18 or at least get a good look, which he did. I went to the range after he hit his second shot thinking I'd come right back in, that he would make that putt. And I don't know what ended up happening. I guess it just missed on the right side maybe, and then fortunate to not have more than one other person in the playoff.
All right, now Ron.
Congrats. You were talking about frustration level last week, after last week. What was the level of that frustration, and how did it manifest into this week? Okay.
It was very, I'd never missed a cut at the Masters before, and very rarely had not had, a chance to win on the weekend. So I hated it. It was the worst feeling. It was the worst feeling as a golfer that I can remember. It's my favorite tournament in the world, and I just love contending at that event. And I was hitting it really, really well, and honestly, just didn't feel like I deserved to miss that cut. I felt like I hit shots right where I wanted to, and ended up somehow at 6 over. Wind gusts here. It wasn't playing easy, but it was just I felt like I got some unfortunate breaks on some pretty committed and nice shots. I've been hitting the ball really, really well all spring, better than I did last year, and I just haven't been scoring. And so I put in a lot of hours on the putting green this week, and to be honest, if it helped incrementally, it was just enough. It wasn't. I got a lot more work to do. I've been putting a lot of work into my full swing, and that certainly takes away some of the time you put into other parts of your game, including putting. And so I think I can kind of shift the other direction now and get to really working on the stroke, which is what I tried to do this week off of last week. I mean, that was the frustration.
All right, Shane.
Jordan, first, there's a horde of rabid youth out there. Have you
What's that?
I said there's a horde of rabid youth.
Yeah, I'm heading that way. Yeah, I asked if they could radio that I'll run back over there. Yeah.
That guy did tell them that. In the last 24 hours, it's been an unbelievable roller coaster. Your golf. You've had a few lucky moments. You've had a few really unlucky moments. What does it feel like to you? I mean, does it feel like you were fortunate to win this, unfortunate not to win it by more? How does it?
I felt like a round of golf. I mean, it felt like a Sunday on the PGA Tour. I mean, it's just you compete, and the first 3 rounds set up today, and today is all about trying to close it out. And I want to say, I thought if I made that putt on 18, I just thought it was tricky enough. The wind was shifting. I knew somebody was at 14. I think it was Eric at one point, and then it went to Shane. And I just thought, maybe with these closing holes, I thought it was maybe for a playoff. When I finished, I heard Shane was left on 14 and then chipped it in the water, and thought, okay, I really like having posted just because it's tricky, but there's still some wedge opportunities for those guys coming in. And when Shane, Harold, and Patrick all parred 15 is when I really thought that I was still in it. Because if they made a birdie there, they just needed one on the last 3, and there was going to be essentially a wedge, a 9-iron, and a 9-iron. So you'd think out of 3 guys that somebody might make a birdie on those 3 holes, which Patrick did. But I dodged some bullets on 15, and no one made birdies, and I think that was the difference maker there. That hole's just tricked people out.
Really quickly, you had such a great first 8 holes, and then 9 you get really unlucky. Obviously, being a golfer, part of it is getting past those moments and not dwelling on it. But mentally, what do you do there when you have sort of this rally killer?
Yeah, I was pretty excited coming off the 8th, being 5 under through 8, and I felt in a good place. But I really tried to settle down on the 9th tee because it's an important tee shot, and I hit it right where I was looking, and it got about as bad a break as I've gotten on a tee ball, to where I really didn't know what I could do. I mean, it was just in the corner, so I couldn't even get a putter on it to hit it into the bunker more, and it was half plugged after it. And I did fine off of the 9th hole. I just wished I'd made the putt. I think I played the smart shot, played the right way, hit a good chip, and I lined the putt up, and I said, all right, with this line that's on the ball, this has to be hit firmly, and that's something that I just have not done well on slower surfaces, whether it's San Antonio or here versus last week. And I just have a really hard time starting a ball outside the hole and hitting it firmly because of the speed of the greens we're normally used to. And when I just mishit that putt and it lipped out, that's what I was upset about, not the break. I thought, I've gotten some I might get one later, whatever it may be. But that was the tough part. And then regrouped, and I thought I needed to shoot 3 under on the back 9, and I think I shot 2. So I bogeyed 11, birdied 13, just 1. So I thought I needed to get 3. So in that sense, yes, I felt pretty fortunate to win at only shooting 1 on the back 9.
Let's go back to Ron.
Given all the success you had early on and through the years, there was a lot of documentation as you struggled to sort of get it back a year ago and win. How close do you feel to being at the top of your game again? Because you sound like somebody who thinks you're pretty close.
Close but far? I wouldn't say far. I would say tee to green, if you take, my last 3 events, it's as good as it's ever been. Structurally, I still am trying to feel 150% of what I'm doing in a rehearsal. It's feel versus real. It's not actually doing it. I'd like to get to a point where structurally I'm not having to do rehearsal swings every time, and it just sets in a nice place, and it's not there yet. And then just really getting back to being dialed in with my stroke. So I would say very close on the full swing, and then really got to put some time and effort into getting my putter where I know it can be.
Okay, let's go over here to Andrew.
Jordan, you've had so much success in your career, but what was the feeling when you won in the playoff and you were able to go give Annie and your son a hug and a kiss? What was that moment like?
It was cool. I was kind of shocked. I didn't think Annie was going to run onto the green, but she was really excited. And so it kind of took me, the whole thing took me by surprise because I legitimately thought Patrick was going to make it from 35 feet. I mean, I remember I played my first playoff with Patrick Reed at Wyndham, and I made like a 35 or 30 footer for par to extend it. And I'm like, Michael's checking out the wind for 17 already while we're next to each other. So then when that happened, then it was like, who do I go to where? And then I was like, anyway, it was really amazing. It was very cool. We've traveled with Sammy the whole year, and 4th week in a row. He's been a champion sleeper, and I think that was a difference maker.
Question. How much is being like a father, as you said, traveling with Sammy, how does that help, like when you have moments like yesterday where, on 18 where you can go home and you can be a father and kind of maybe put some of that stuff aside?
Yeah, I thought that was that really turned a lot around for me last night. Was just hanging out with him, and this morning, even this morning I was kicking myself. I thought about it all night. I mean, how am I going to get that back? And I just, it just takes your mind off of things and puts it where it should be, which is in the moment of hanging out. And I really, really enjoyed that, and had a great time spending the mornings with him. And we got our dog here too, and it was a blast.
All right, let's go back to Pete. We'll take a couple more.
Jordan, this is an event you don't always come to. It's always a week after the Masters. Was it simply because you missed the cut at the Masters that you came here, or were you kind of committed to be here no matter what?
I had told my management team that I was going to play here pre-Masters week. I was fully intended from months ago to play 4 in a row. I really wish that it wasn't the week right after the Masters, because I would play this every single year, and I after obviously just having this week happen, I certainly plan on it going forward. I've missed a few years, but I played the first 3. I played 19 and 20, and then this year. So I think it's a really good fit. I just really enjoy playing this golf course. If you hit good shots, you get birdie looks. If you don't hit good shots, you got to play cool punch shots through trees, and it stands the test of time. It just seems to always do that. And I was actually very surprised by the amount of support that everyone had this week, and I felt a lot of it personally. These crowds were just fantastic for it being a non-major championship. I mean, Wednesday it was 4 deep on the first hole. I'm like, these guys, my amateur partners, are freaking out. You know, like we just don't want anyone to get hurt. And it just carried on the rest of the week.
All right. Anything else? Congratulations once again to our champion, Jordan Spieth.
Thank you.
El nuevo Pro SL no tiene clavos, pero tiene un agarre increíble. Con una plancha de carbono adicional para optimizar el retorno de energía y un nuevo y moderno diseño, el zapato original de máximo rendimiento sin clavos tiene algunas ventajas importantes.